Hello, hello again.
Hello.
Svitlana, I'm looking forward a lot to this smart moves because it is your games again, which I always enjoy when you analyze them. And not only that, of course, you won your club tournament, and I'm so proud of you, coach. Well
Thank
done,
you.
well done.
Thank you.
For you at home, write in the comments, "Hey, Svitlana, well done." You don't have to, but
God,
would be nice. Would be nice.
thank you. Yeah, so I recently played in the club championship that we had. It's just like our club in Ottawa, and I was the third starting rank. So we still have some like good players of all ages. There's a lot of up and coming juniors.
Hmm.
There's a lot of experienced older players. So I really like the club atmosphere. I was really lucky to have a really nice club growing up. Have you played at a club when you were growing up?
Well, of course, you are probably never in the position to understand what I went through in my club time because all of the people who are, I would say, like roughly 30 plus have experienced a time, depending on where you live, but I'm from Germany, where, yeah, you see all ages, as you mentioned before, but there was also the smoking, which
Mm-hmm.
was a part of all the club rooms. And oh
Yeah.
my boy, I smelled like a
You
smoked
couldn't
fish every time I
handle it.
came home. It was not possible to escape, and a,
Mm-hmm.
a very very certain atmosphere which you will never forget. It was wonderful. I always enjoyed this time, and I even miss this smoky atmosphere, although I hated it on the other hand. But it has this nostalgia, and
Yeah.
everybody probably who's played in a club before, who's a bit older, feels the same way as I do. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
clubs are just fantastic. I can everybody who is not in the chess club yet, I can highly advise try it out. Not one time, maybe twice or three times. Go there, check out the atmosphere. It is something very special. Even my small brother might join a chess club soon. So very
Oh,
excited
that's
about
great.
that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, our club is has always been pretty big and as you said, super nice atmosphere. And we have once a year this club championship that happens and we have like a trophy and like we keep track of all the champions over the years.
Hmm.
And it's one of my like favorite tournaments to play in.
Nice.
I 3 years ago I was a co-champion and then 2 years ago I won it. Last year I was on my way and in the last round I lost, so it was between me and another guy and I lost in the last round, so I was close, um somebody else won it. And this year it's only been 6 rounds, but I'm already a point and a half ahead of everybody, so I pretty much won the tournament. And I had some good games, which it's not often that I show my own games in the shows because I don't play that often. But this time I've just had a really nice streak and a good luck in these games. So I'm
So
excited.
humble. So humble. Also, on one, I didn't even know that the tournament is still running. How funny is that? And you already won, so well done for that. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. Okay, so here we go. You're white.
I am white in this game, and I was playing the first seed. It was an FM, and we play a lot. We are from the same club, and we always compete for this club championship.
Is it going to be the London? No, it's not.
No, it's not. So I like, you know how much I like the London, but
Yeah.
this time I had another idea in mind. London was
Okay.
a bit too predictable. And this guy played either the King's Indian or the Grunfeld. So I
I see.
was ready for both, and he played the Grunfeld.
Hmm. Yeah, very common too. Very common. My goodness.
Not something we've looked at that much so far, but it is a very good opening to learn for both sides actually.
Hmm.
So there's many options on how to approach it. I've tried a lot, and this time I decided to surprise him with a new opening, which I haven't played before. So there's a couple.
Surprise attack. Okay, let's see.
Okay, maybe it's not that surprising to you, but so far it's the main line, e4.
Takes, takes.
Bishop g7. This
I
is the
always
main.
like this for white. And I'm always confused that black can still play against that.
No, yeah, I understand that. It looks like a really strong center, but in reality, black always has some counterplay against this pawn. And it's not always easy to maintain that pawn. So this center comes with its
Sure.
own consequences, and it's always a nice it's always a nice game against the Grunfeld. It's equal, but there's counterplay for both. So the two most popular moves here are, I think, bishop to e3, just to solidify the center,
Yeah.
and also rook to b1 to get on the open file. But the move that I played was bishop to b5.
Ooh.
So I think it's one of the latest trends that people have been trying out, and I was recommended this, and I thought it was a really good line. So now black played knight to c6. This is what happened in my game. A possible alternative is knight d7, although this is a bit passive and slows down the development, so I don't think anybody would really consider this one. There's also bishop here, but often black likes to keep their bishop pair in the Grunfeld. That's one of the things that makes this position alive, and they use their bishops to attack the center. So knight c6 for this reason is the main line.
Is
Castles,
there ever a
castles.
line where d5 is working? Sorry, I'm just...
Sometimes
Yeah.
yes, but you really, before pushing these pawns, you really have to make sure that it gives you something. It's not
Yeah.
just to push them and gain more center,
Yeah.
because otherwise it could be weak. But yeah, so the line that I played was to take here, so create these double pawns, but I gave away my bishop pair for it.
Okay.
And queen to c2. So this is the surprising move. And my opponent thought for 40 minutes after,
So
which is a bit long, but I think he was just really surprised.
that really worked out well.
Yeah, so it was a while, and it's really strange because he's usually a fast player, but I guess something about this move was just hard to come up with the alternative. So the most common response, I'll show you. He played queen to a5, which is also pretty common. But I want to show you the main idea of this is that if you capture, I capture. So this was the point of the queen being here, is that it's now nicely opened up. So if black wants to get rid of their doubled pawns, they have to open up my queen. And now on bishop g4, what do you think was my reply?
Oh, bishop g4.
Yeah. So now these are attacked.
So what could be the reply here?
Something active.
Maybe knight to e5?
Exactly. So this was my idea. Yeah, this was what I had prepared in it. And attacks the bishop. You don't really want to take. You don't want to give up your bishop pair. And like, my pawns are pretty okay. This pawn is weak. So this is not really something that you want. And so instead, what do? Well, obviously this move is something that has to be considered. It's a pawn sacrifice. So I sacrifice this pawn. And at the end of this line, the game keeps going. And I am down a pawn in most of these lines, but I thought it was a really good counterplay, and they have to do something about the bishop.
They have dangers, yeah.
They probably have to take, and opposite colored bishops. So this pawn is not really dangerous. It's not a passed pawn yet, and nor it will ever be. And I have this really strong dark squared bishop, which is the main thing that gives the compensation for the pawn. So this is what I was going for with this game. And because I was ahead on points, I was fine with like making a draw potentially. So even if I don't come up with anything, it's opposite colored bishops, good chances for a draw. So that was my my ideas here, but I think that really white can press more. So I encourage anybody to try out this idea if they ever are looking for something against them. Grunfeld, it will teach you to play how to play without a pawn and how to maintain this initiative.
How cool. Well prepared.
So instead, queen a5.
Yeah, so black
And
actively said like, no, I don't want to do that stuff.
yeah, I mean, when he could see that I prepared it, maybe you don't really want to take a pawn that
Certainly, yeah.
somebody instantly sacrificed. So yeah, his evaluation was good there. So I played a4 with the idea of bringing the bishop out.
hmm
Took, and c5. So similar idea he could have done as this. We would have been in a really, really close situation as before, with this pawn sacrifice, with the queen taking. So yeah, it would have been super similar. And then I can play here, and same ideas apply.
Yeah.
So instead he
Oh,
played c5, which was a bit different. So maybe here I'll ask you, how do you think you would proceed for white? And who is better out of the opening? Which side do you prefer?
so I don't know. I mean, black has the bishop pair. That's something to consider, but white's king is very safe. The center is much stronger. I'm not sure how much it can help. So, think it is. I would be like I think I would like to be white here, but I think it might be equal.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe it's slightly better for white, just because black didn't go for the main line, the best line. But for sure, it could be approximately equal, and it's a position with both
Yeah.
sides have ideas. So, but I do prefer white, despite the bishop pair. I tend to like underestimate bishop pair a lot, because I really like knights. So sometimes it plays out poorly in my games, but sometimes it works. How would you proceed as white?
Well, for once I like that black cannot take the pawn on d4 yet. So how about we give a bit more pressure on the c pawn by putting a rook to c1, probably the a1.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did in my game. I played rook a to c1, which makes sense. Oftentimes, there's this idea in the Grunfeld. I just want to point it out. There's this idea in the Grunfeld to sacrifice the exchange.
It's something to consider, surely, yeah.
It's very common. It happens in the Grunfeld in some of these lines, but this is not its best scenario. So
No.
I looked at it. Normally, we want to get a bit more compensation for it, in terms of normally we capture it back with the queen. So there's some lines that exist where the queen takes it back, and then this battery is prepared already on the king. So normally we want to do this a bit more. If we are going to sacrifice the exchange, then this would be more, it would happen faster.
Yeah.
And the long diagonal, strong center, but this is not guaranteed here. I still need to spend a few moves to get on that long diagonal, and my center is a bit shaky. So this is not the best version of this idea, but it's just something for the Greenfield players to know about. I always really like exchange sacrifices. But I don't know if I would have the courage to do it in my game.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have done that too, because as you were asking me how do you like white and black here, I also considered it, and I thought like, no, there's just not, it takes too long
Just not necessary, right? You could play much simpler.
Yeah.
So black just continued developing and made this passed pawn on c4, which is going to be important later, this pawn. Now there's an important positional decision to make. I didn't choose the correct plan, but I think you can find it.
Well, if you ask me like this, then I will not try to disappoint you. Well, my immediate thought was bishop c3, though, but I don't.
That's the best move.
It doesn't look spectacular. Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be spectacular. I told you it's a positional move. It's so you blockade this passed pawn, and you want to play d5. That's the main idea, and you want to trade this bishop. When there's a bishop pair, if you can trade it, that's good.
Oh, okay.
So this was the best plan. Wasn't, as I said, I think you could find it, and it's not like spectacular. Also, a great option was h4,
Oh,
which I also like.
that's why
Um,
you said, like, I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah, I thought you would maybe look at this one, but bishop c3 is better. Bishop c3 is the best move. I played something weird with my bishop instead. I played here. I thought the bishop was more active here, and it could go to c5, it could attack this pawn, and that the bishop was going to be good here.
Yeah,
But
makes all sense to me.
it didn't turn out to be the best. Bishop c3 was better, and it was just it would have been a really good position. So now that I played this bishop move, I cannot play here as I wanted to because there's e5. And the bishop is not stable, and my center falls apart, so not great.
True.
So instead, I retreated, and now black's pieces are getting chances to activate more.
My cat
The
was
rook
got
activated.
ferociously...
I thought I had to pull.
Sorry, my cat was just ferociously... yes, exactly you. You were going on to the cat tree, right? Sweetie, sorry for that.
Oh, which one is this?
That's Roger.
Nice.
Come here.
I always like it when they join.
Yeah, this one is sleepy. So sorry for the distraction. It's not about cats, it's about chess. So what's happening now? E5.
Yeah, e5, I blocked the bishop to make sure it wasn't doing anything on that long diagonal. So as I said, I could have taken it a more positional approach and just blockaded that pawn, but instead I allowed for this counterplay, which made the position complicated. And my opponent was like running low on time already, but played really well for the next couple of moves. So that's the problem with that. I think that ended up being my opponent's that made him lose the game was actually partially like the time management, is that he was spending long on these moves. Like the moves were good, and it was a good game for him in this portion of the middle game, but the time is also a really important component, and you cannot always like once you get low on time, you're always going to miss something. And we'll see the tactics that happened at the end, which I thought were nice.
Yeah, 40 minutes is rough. That is a long time. That is.
Yeah. So here, I played rook to b1.
Oh. Okay.
Because this bishop just suddenly activated. I started not really loving my position. So here, I want you to find a move for black. So for my opponent, he found a great plan. It's not complicated, but I would say it's very unique. Could you try to find black's best move?
Okay, so what could be black's best move here?
It shocked me because I didn't see it in the game. It ended up being good.
I cannot find it, I'm afraid. I thought about queen a5 to attack a4.
Then I can take all of these pawns. I can take this pawn, I can take this pawn, right?
Yeah, we don't want that as black, at least.
Yeah. So it's an improvement of a piece.
Okay.
What's black's worst piece?
Well, it's the queen so far, right?
No, there's another one.
Oh, it's the bishop on a6.
Yeah.
Well, there are not many spots left.
Yeah.
So it has to be bishop c8.
Yeah, and that's the move that I missed and that I thought was really good, because it joins from f5.
Oh goodness! Now that you're saying it.
Yeah, right?
But that's so crazy. Can't we just take on? No, we cannot. I see.
Yeah, that's the point. So that I cannot take here because there's rook b1, and I cannot take the rook either because, well, this doesn't look that great because now the bishop activated and the pawn is too far in. So bishop c8, something I missed and something that was good for the opponent. So now after this, I have to move away the rook. And as I said, this was my mistake to let away this initiative. So this pawn, as I said, it was going to become important. So this pawn went all the way to c2. Whose opposite colored bishop do you think is stronger here?
Oh well, the black one must be,
Yeah,
right?
unfortunately, it became good. So yeah, I would say that black would is doing much better here,
Huh.
because of this pawn. But like, although my opponent thought it was like completely winning and completely dominating, I thought it wasn't that simple because you still need to get that pawn somewhere. And because of this opposite color bishop situation, that provides for more double-edged counterplay, right?
It
So
does.
so I thought I could just keep up my blockade, and if I survive that blockade, then I can start thinking of something else. So
So rook
so
c1 has to
far,
happen, yeah.
yeah, so far it's blockaded and everything is fine. And my opponent made a mistake. So of course the time pressure started kicking in, and he played queen a5. So now try to find a way to turn the game around. I really liked this next tactic that I played.
Okay. Huh. I was thinking the whole time about g4, but apparently it's not correct.
Well, it's part of the plan. But
Huh.
yeah, or immediately would run into bishop here.
Ah, why didn't I see that? Okay, okay, of
So
course.
the bishop can go there.
So what about e6?
Perfect. You got it. This was
Ha!
my this is what I played in the game, and I really enjoyed that move
Yeah,
when I found it.
that's really nice.
So it's part of this g4 idea that if black recaptures like this, we play here, and the bishop has to move, and we just get to the attack. And this doesn't look good for black. They're
Not at
just going
all.
to lose to a checkmate here.
Wow.
So this doesn't work. And instead, what can they do? They have to, in the game, he took back with the pawn, with the bishop, and I won the pawn back,
Nice.
which after that, I thought, okay, now it's fine. And now this
Breathe.
pawn is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why this e6 really turned the game around. Apparently, black's best try was this, rook to b1.
Yeah.
And it looks equal, but it's, sorry, like it looks scary, but it's actually equal. So the reason is I thought that this was like, you're not going to really go for this as
Recover
black,
from that, right? But you apparently
but
are. Hmm.
but apparently there's nothing else because my rooks are a bit stuck to defend each other, and the best I can do is like it's equal. I can maybe keep the game going, but I can even go for a forced draw like this with a
Oh
fun
my
queen sacrifice,
goodness.
and the king cannot escape.
That is so crazy.
And like I just keep shuffling the rook back and forth, and there's a so I needed to go here to defend this bishop, and it's just yeah, and if they go here,
Oh my goodness.
do a forced perpetual
Wow.
check.
Okay.
So that was black's best at this point. And instead he kept the game going. So now black lost their strongest asset, which was the pawn on c2. And from here, it kind of turns around, and that's why this e6 move was really important.
Mhm.
And you found it. So here I offered the queen straight, which wasn't the best. I could have pressed a bit more, but I think my opponent didn't take it. I think it was just psychologically difficult to accept that you were like in such good shape a few moves ago, but this pawn is gone and not anymore. So he kept the queen. He didn't want to accept this endgame, which is very clearly like very, very equal. And he didn't want to accept this endgame. And so instead he kept the queens on and find the next tactic. That pretty much finished the game after this.
Could it be queen takes b2 and then bishop a3? No, it's not working. Sorry, pardon. That's
Oh, no. Okay,
no,
there's
it's not
rook
working.
c2. There's
It,
rook c2.
yeah, it's that cannot work. So, what else? Ah, it's just d5, right?
Yeah, so it's d5.
Nice.
So that opens up the rook, and the rook joining that attack is really strong. And as I said,
Oh, cool.
this dark square bishop, we shouldn't have underestimated it from the start. Opposite colored bishops is always dangerous, no matter what. And try to find the finish.
Okay. So let's be careful for 1 second. But what would happen?
You kind of already found that idea, but
Is
it's
it?
a new spin.
Yeah. Is it? Is this? I don't think it's working. No. It's not working.
Now you'll find it. It's forcing.
Is it? Oh.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So queen takes b2. Rook takes back. Bishop e3.
Not quite bishop e3, but you found. And once again, you find
Oh.
the right move for the wrong reason.
It's just a check. It's just a check on e8 and the mate.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
the opponent
crazy.
resigned here, but there is, of course, I can show the rest. There's this checkmate with the bishop.
How beautiful.
So I thought it was a really nice game, and I was glad that all of these tactics that I actually that I was going for, that they all actually happened on the board, and I got to finish it with a queen sacrifice,
Massive.
queen b2. So
Wow, what a game. Did he see it? Like in this very moment you made the move, was he like shaking your hand already, or was he like
I'm not sure because he took it and like allowed the mate right away, but it was a rook. I'm not sure.
I
I'm
see.
not sure. I think he did. I think he did see it, but maybe he didn't see d5. So
Yeah.
after that, he
Yeah, I
did.
mean, I would have probably also played it wrong after all, since I said that.
But yeah,
Well
for sure.
done, though. My
Thank
goodness.
you. So that was a smooth and not that smooth, I would say, but it was a good game at the end for sure.
Yeah.
So I'll show you the next one, the one that I played just yesterday.
Okay.
And this was the game I just showed was the game with the first seed, and the second one was with the second seed of the tournament, by Canadian ratings. And it was, once again, it was an important game. So far I have the 6 out of 6 points. There's one more round, but because I won against this guy yesterday, there's nobody else that can catch up.
That's so crazy.
And
6
it's
out of
so
6.
rare. I'm telling you, it's so rare that I like have like this like such a smooth tournament without the hiccups. I've never, like, in my life, like, I don't usually win anything with a round to spare. I always have to mess up somewhere and then make it difficult and win it in a difficult way in the end.
But it's just so super rare after all. I mean, it just rarely happens that you can.
No, but I know some players who are
Yeah.
like that. Like, they either go full out, like perfect score, or they like mess up at the beginning and they cannot continue. But
see,
I know there's some players that like it either goes fully or nothing.
Fun.
I guess it depends.
All right, this time you're black even.
This time I was playing as black, and I played. First of all, I didn't expect e4, but it was hard to prepare against this guy because, first of all, he's new to Ottawa, so it was somebody from the US, a national master from the US. So it was somebody new at our club, and anybody is allowed to play in our club championship.
How cool.
Anybody who is there for it's a weekly game, so
Yeah.
anybody who's there every Thursday, they can come and play. So it's sometimes it's a lot of people that have actually like played in this tournament over the years, because you don't have to be Canadian, you don't have to like
Be a club member.
No, you do have to. I guess you do have to be a club member for some events. For this one, I think so. So for some important events, you have to be a club member. But there's a huge variety of players there, and
So
a lot of
cool.
new people too.
Nice.
So I didn't expect e4, but I didn't have much information, because this guy in his online games, he plays knight a3 first move.
What?
So how can I prepare against somebody who plays knight a3
Imagine
first
you
move?
would prepare, and then
Yeah.
then they go with e4, and you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
You
but
play something different online all the time. I did all the
But I-
preparation. Can you take that back?
But yeah, I assume that somebody who plays knight a3 online is like trolling, that it's a joke.
How funny.
So, I mean, I don't know what I expected, but it just wasn't e4.
I mean, I
Um,
know that as a matter of fact, Andrew Tang played knight h3 very
uh-huh,
often, the Amar opening,
uh-huh.
which is equally, yeah, awkward. But of
Yeah.
course, he's
But
that good that he wins 80% of his games.
as white, you can do anything, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah, yeah.
because you have the benefit of the extra move. So I decided, I'm gonna practice e5.
I'm
You know
gonna.
that I wasn't an e5 player,
Mhm.
but lately I practiced it a bit and it's been working well. So
Nice.
I decided to go for it. And surprisingly, this guy was prepared for this. I was like, okay, let's play something weird. Let's play this against the Rui
Ooh.
Lopez. And he was prepared.
He knew, he was watching our shows. He knew this was
Maybe.
going to be like a King's Indian thingy territory,
I
probably.
don't know. But I play an offbeat line against the Rui Lopez and he was prepared. I guess it happens.
Not bad.
So the idea here is to fianchetto, and this is quite similar to the King's Indian in some lines. So, for example, of course, if black takes, if white takes, then we have this common Rui Lopez trick that you cannot take the pawn on e5
Sure.
normally like that. So instead, white should just place something in the center, and it's an offbeat line. It's just a bit different than the normal Rui Lopez lines.
Yeah, but completely playable after all.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my idea, I played like a King's Indian.
Yeah.
And well, it's a good approach as white to occupy the center immediately. So so he played it well. I actually should have played a6. This is the
Mm-hmm.
main line. And then d6. And this is going to be important later. You'll see why. Because
Oops.
this bishop here, it actually makes a difference in some lines.
Okay.
So I should have kicked the bishop, but because I didn't like review it or anything, I've kind of forgot about it. So so I didn't play it and then regretted it later. So yeah, but surprisingly enough, he was prepared for this. Like I don't know how, but somehow he like maybe he checked both this and a6. But that's why I was so like surprised that maybe it just happened. Sometimes it happens that you just walk right into what somebody else expected. Because he played queen b3 here, which I've never seen before.
Oops.
But it's a good move. It's the best move. So the reason why I've never seen it before is, of course, because you have to play it through a6. And now this queen b3 doesn't make sense, and there's no like this battery of the queen and bishop, because this is the normal lines. But instead he went here, which makes sense. Now this bishop can come here, and I will have problems on f7 square.
Yes. There's the knight following up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unpleasant.
So what should black play now? What would you do against
Well,
this queen?
well, I thought knight e7 and short castling, but yeah.
Knight e7 would be fine. That's one of the things I considered. I didn't love the position here. For example, like rook d1 or something like that. I think black is okay, but
Yeah.
not great. So white definitely is the one that's attacking and making threats. There were some other moves. There was knight a5 that I considered too. But once again, I thought that white was better and that my knight is just being strange and my development is just not really in harmony. So instead, I played e takes d4. Apparently was not like the best. And he was surprised at that too. And
he was like, what the heck? Sorry. And then he played the move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here I should have played this 97 idea that you were talking about and go for something like this. So I did look at it and I thought like all of this is forced.
Yeah, it
And
looks
I
very
thought
forced,
that,
yeah.
okay, this is fine. Like I was okay with giving up a pawn.
I think so too. It looks okay, yeah.
Still, like there is compensation. Not sure if it's full, but it would have been okay if he went for something like that. But instead, I took on d4 and I thought that I will just destroy the center right away. I don't see anything huge that white can do, so I'm gonna play it. He took. He had to take. And now he had the option of either playing bishop back or taking the bishop. So if he took and then took like this, I thought this would be fine. We traded the pawns, so I didn't sacrifice a pawn. And we would have just played on this position. But instead, maybe even better choice for him was that he kept the bishops on the board.
Yeah, Queen has to go to e7 or something.
So the two attacks are here and here. So he is going to win back the pawn. And of course, I would rather give the b7 pawn. So I played queen here. I thought, honestly, he would take. But
yeah, it looks
I guess he didn't. I would have played here, then knight out, castles. Pawn for pawn, white probably is the one pressing. But this is what I expected to happen. And here, surprisingly enough, so the engine doesn't like my position and thinks that there's this one move that's really strong. I don't even think you're going to find it if I tell you. It's knight to d2.
Okay. Yeah.
It's super unnatural move, but apparently this is like much better than all the rest.
Oh, okay.
The reason is that the knight comes to f3 and bishop to g5 is a threat.
Oh my goodness.
It has to go back to g7, and that's why, and then like my king is stuck in the middle. That's the whole deep idea of knight to d2.
Funny. Yeah,
but this move initially, the initial thought of like blocking that bishop and just bringing the knight in a weird way, I think is like, it's possible, but it wasn't likely that it would
irritating.
Happen. Yeah. So instead, he developed the knight like a normal person to c3, which makes sense. To go to d5. That's why I thought it made much more sense. I played knight e7 to protect and to castle soon. And then now he played bishop h6. What do you think about this move?
Yeah, annoying. That's what I think, because now you cannot castle.
Prevents the castling, yeah.
So what happens after g5? How can white...
Exactly, you see it instantly. So he played this, and I thought for like 20 minutes. And believe it or not, g5 did not even cross my mind.
How funny.
It should be the first thing that you think about, right?
Yeah, but then
like
but this is absolute magic, and there's this Daniel Kahneman with his bestseller Thinking Fast and Slow is scratching this surface where you have your mind set on anything else but this move, although it is there, but you think of like, okay, I cannot castle. How do I castle better? How do I get this bishop out of there? Which other piece do I move? And then, yeah, you cannot think of g5 because it is something which you normally don't play. So I don't blame you at all that you cannot find it, but it's funny.
I mean, it's something super simple. Like, I would find it in a bullet game.
Sure,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would play it instantly in a bullet game, but somehow, yeah, I was too focused on the castling, and I was looking at complex other variations, just not g5. And I guess it's also about like trusting the opponent a bit. Is that, I mean, you don't really think that they blundered the piece in one move, and
exactly. And then after all, I mean, I still have to calculate, does it even work with g5? Because there is counterplay.
It's not that simple, but it is, like, obviously it's a pretty simple piece trap. So I guess they play rook here, and then you cannot take it yet, so you have to retreat. And then they'll give up the piece for the two pawns. And it's tricky. It's still better for black. It's a piece. But the king is not castled. Some pawns are hanging. So I think it's still a game to play.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Funny.
So, yeah, maybe it's good that I didn't see it. I'm not sure. Maybe I wouldn't have survived this attack, but it's definitely, like, it was much, much better to do this. So instead, I played it often happens that when I think long, it ends up being a stupid move in the end. So I played rook b8. I protected this pawn, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have my extra pawn. If I'm not going to castle, I'm going to at least have an extra pawn. And the thing is, I couldn't have castled this way. Well, I could, but then I would give back the pawn to...
Yeah, you don't want that.
Although maybe there's g5 here too. I don't know. This g5 just it was not on my mind at all anywhere.
As I said, I don't blame you. I mean, this happened probably to every normal chess player 100 times already.
So for sure, I could have won a piece instead. It was more difficult. I played rook b8, defended the pawn, and well, white has compensation, and I thought it was like it's a fair position, and it was interesting to calculate it too. I prefer to be on the defending side. I like extra pawns, or pieces for that sense. So now my opponent was opposite. He liked the initiative, and he went for another pawn
It
sack.
seems so, yes.
Went for another tactical breakthrough, e5. How should you react for black?
Well, first you said go like, what is happening? And then you should take with the bishop.
Exactly. That's what happened. I took back with the bishop. So the reason why other ones don't work, well, the queen for sure is not the move. There's rook joining, there's f7, there's just too many threats. Queen is not the move, but pawn, quite interesting, but not as good because there's knight to e4. So that was the whole plan of e5, was to free up this e4 square. Queen goes here, and it's I wouldn't say it's good.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
It's very unpleasant.
These bishops are just would have been too.
Yeah.
So instead, on e5, I took with the bishop, which was the right move. Of course, now knight e4 is not as efficient because there's queen h4, and there's both attacks, the mate and the bishop.
Exactly.
And
the mate is a very good threat, yeah.
Yeah, mate tends to be a good threat. So instead, he played f4, which was still good and still has ideas.
Like me, I like this guy.
Yeah. So f4 was good, and now black has a really important decision to make about the bishop. What would you play?
Well, my first initial thought was giving a check on d4 and then pulling the bishop back to b6.
Mm-hmm.
The next idea is, I mean, there's only one more option, but taking on c3 doesn't look nice.
So bishop d4, you mentioned, that's the only two options, basically. Yep. Bishop d4 or bishop c3. So it's between these two. So you would pick bishop check?
Yeah.
And that would be the wrong choice. The reason is that there's actually a really big threat that's coming up, which is bishop here, not here, bishop here, and rook. And it's actually, I don't know how to defend against it. You said bishop b6, but once again, what is going to happen on, okay, maybe rook e1 first.
Yeah. So, okay, well, this is terrible. I agree, of course. I mean, the king goes to d8 and the rook to e. Oh God, that's not even working at all.
There's even knight d5.
Terrible. Okay, that was the worst choice ever. Yes, you have to take the knight. Okay, that's not.
Yeah.
Let's not get into this.
The knight, I have to take the knight and get rid of that another attacking piece. So once again, I'm not the side with the two bishops.
Yes.
But I'm fine with it. I had the knight, and it was good. So now, of course, white is probably not going to take with the queen because it's they want to keep up the attack. And here's what my opponent missed. So there was a next sequence that I think he missed, or underestimated, as he said. Okay. So now, to protect against this all of these threats on my king with the e-file and with the diagonal, I played bishop e6, which made sense. I'm happy if the opponent trades the bishops. Yes. And try to guess my next move after rook to e1.
Oh. Oh, okay. So it's always this threat of the bishop going to g5 eventually.
Yeah.
So is it possible to play king d7?
Exactly, that's what I did.
I can't believe it. I don't know what's happening today. I'm really not cheating or anything. I cannot see the annotation at all. How
Yeah.
funny.
No, you're finding all the moves today. I think it's because like it's my games, so you like it's it's
You're my
it's a lot
coach. It has to work.
it's a lot simpler to see my moves rather than Carlson's moves.
True.
So
That's true.
so that might be
Nicely
why.
packed. Yeah.
And King D7, that's the move. I really liked playing it, and I thought it was a
Yeah.
good move, and it was the best.
It
Because
is good.
otherwise, it's actually more dangerous than I expected. So if I don't play King D7, it's actually really dangerous, which I didn't feel like it was dangerous because I was fine with my king there. But for example, if I do even something wrong like this, I'm actually just losing because of bishop g5
Yeah.
and my king has nowhere to go. And there's nothing really else. Even something like this, giving up a pawn, even giving up one pawn is losing because I will never castle, and
Yeah. That's lost.
this bishop is going to join.
Clearly, yeah. Yeah, that is
So,
actually, yeah, it's very brutal, this attack. That's what I'm thinking the whole time. So
yeah.
that white was able to play f4 is a killer.
But after king d7, black is actually better because two pawns. I like my two pawns, but the attack doesn't really affect my king anymore that
Yeah.
much.
Yes, there's no threat on the other side, on the queen side as well. That's the nice part, right? So if there's a bishop
Yeah.
check coming, there's no sacrifices. You can always push the pawns forward, and white has
And
nothing.
yeah, on anything like this, I mean, I'm just going to move the queen, and there's nothing dangerous for my king here
Yeah,
because next move I'll make my rook join, and there's no material that I'm losing here. So
so
luckily,
cool.
all the pieces are defending each other. So my opponent just continued with the attack with g4.
I was actually thinking about g4, yeah.
Yeah, so but I felt pretty okay about my king. I thought there was no huge threat. I kept attacking in the center and just I wanted to just get my pieces out. So
You give one
here
pawn, but doesn't matter.
I did give one pawn. He didn't take it because I was up two pawns, so I don't mind giving one of them to trade into an endgame
Totally.
and then try to win this endgame.
Yeah.
And so instead he went back with the queen.
Uh-huh.
It's still a bit tricky, but because I had two pawns and the king was relatively safe, I felt fine. And I decided to create my own counterplay. So then I was like, okay, I didn't win this bishop once. I'm gonna try to win it now. And so my idea was to play knight to g8 and to try to win this bishop at some point. So before I get to play knight g8, though, I need to protect this pawn. So I played queen c5 with the idea of trapping this bishop with knight g8. The opponent played f5. And, well, I trapped the bishop, but then he untrapped it with h4. So I wasn't in time to win that bishop, which I was hoping for. But yeah, so I thought it would be a bit better if my opponent played something like, I don't know, like before that, to play something like rook e6, like double the rooks and play something a bit more aggressive. But I guess all of them run into the same thing, and I just make some trades, play knight g8. And yeah, so I'll show the next couple of moves. These ones were just normal for both sides. When you're up material, of course, you try to trade and try to keep your king safe, which I don't know, I guess is not my case, but he doesn't have a mate yet.
No, it is so funny because your king is safe. There's like you're on the spot where the bishop cannot never reach.
Yeah.
The rooks
Here I was
cannot do anything.
I
How
really
funny.
wanted to be greedy like this,
Oof.
but then I thought it was too much. That I should stop. I have two pawns already, and I should just stop.
Yes, it's good to know when to stop.
Yeah. Actually, I have three pawns. Yeah, it's three pawns. So why do I need a fourth one?
Exactly.
So after queen c4, once again, I think he could have been a bit more aggressive, but I guess his attack just slowly died down. And I want to show you the end game that we went into.
Mm-hmm.
So we traded the rooks. So now the point is that he can never really harass me with the queen with the checks, because I always have queen e4 check
Nice.
to defend against it. So that would be a winning endgame. And now the king, although it's in the center, but it is pretty safe. So here, I joined with the knight. There was a trade, and I want you to find the most convincing win
Wow.
in this queen
Okay,
endgame.
how can I trade the queens? That would be my very first idea. So, is it possible to just give a check on f1? And then
It is possible.
and then go to no, that's okay. So I wanted to give a check on h1, but then the king can escape. No, can he? Well, okay, yes.
So
The king cannot go to g5. Yeah, it cannot go to g5 because king f7.
nice one. Wait, I liked it. I didn't even see this during the game, but I think that's nice.
Mate threat. So how does
That's
white even
cute.
get out of there? No.
That's cute. I
With
guess,
the pawn move, yeah.
yeah, I guess here, but
Yeah, this
this
has
is
no
good.
no, it's mate, it's mate.
Oh, queen a4. Yeah,
Queen e4.
this would be mate. That's nice. That's a good one. So they have to play here,
Yes.
and I
Wait.
guess play it like this. Still 2 pawns,
Yes.
so still good. But so far no mate and no queen trade. But it was a nice line that you found.
Okay, yeah. Damn it. Okay, so how do I do this better?
You had the correct idea of trading
Oh.
queens.
Yeah, sure. So queen f4 it has to be.
Perfect, you got it. So
Yeah.
queen to f4, we have
Mate threat too.
a lot of pawns on our side, so we can trade into a pawn endgame. So what happens if queen e1?
I would even give the queen on g3 check.
Exactly. So this idea of queen f4 had 2 purposes. One was to attack the queen, and the other was to mate on g3. So that's why this is the most convincing win, because it's the most forcing.
Mm-hmm.
So queen e1,
Yes.
and this is a winning pawn endgame.
So now just play d4. And
Yeah, at this
game
point,
over.
a lot of things. My opponent actually just took here because there was not much other choice.
Yeah.
So what did you want to play here?
Well, I think to be absolutely sure. Well, do I even have to be sure here? What about c5? That'll do, right?
C5 could do it. Yeah, there's even quicker.
It's even quicker.
You don't need
Oh,
C5.
yeah. You're right. b4. No.
B4.
Yeah, before the king is in this, cannot get there
Yeah,
because
so
of
this
the
is
f4
funny.
pawn.
My opponent resigned after the d4, but the funny thing is that, as we know, the square,
Yeah.
so the king could potentially be there, but this pawn prevents him from joining that square.
Pity.
So this was a winning pawn endgame, and it ended like that, and there was nothing else for the pawn, for the king or his pawns to do. So that was this game. It was different from the previous one, and we even had this endgame, but this was a more of a like defensive game. Although I guess in both I was defending.
Sure.
And
but there were like, you've done such a great job, Svitlana. I'm very proud of you. So well done for doing this. And so, do you have any ambition to get 7 out of 7, or do you just want to go like, listen, come on, I can just breathe. I'll just play as good as I can, whatever happens. Or would you even be fine with when your opponent says after 10 moves like, hey, draw? I'll get the third place.
At this point, this is, as I said, it's an unusual situation for me. I never win anything with a round left to go. I would be fine. I'll just play next week, and the way it goes, it's okay if it's a draw. It's okay if I lose. It's okay if I win. So I'll play. I will still play somebody strong. So I'll just try to enjoy the game, because it doesn't, like, the result is not going to to change anything anymore. So
So
it's a good
nice.
position to be in.
I never
But
had that situation ever before.
yeah, don't worry, me neither. It's the first time. So yeah, it was nice to come back to chess after like a long half a year break. I
Yeah.
took a break to focus on my school semester. So now I'm still studying, but just played a bit more chess, and I'm glad I did because it was a good time to come back. And I guess this break did me a good favor, and it's I guess like sometimes the moves just flow, and sometimes the break like makes you rustier. So I guess
Good
in in
point.
in this tournament I was lucky that I didn't that the rust didn't show.
Well, we're lucky that you're still, although you're studying and you're busy all the time, that you still have the time and take the time to have those smart moves with us. We're very glad
Yeah.
about this. Thank you.
Now after this club championship, usually it's a tradition that our club champion gives a simul. So now I'll give a simul soon to
How
Oliver, to
cool.
our whole club.
How awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, Svitlana, thank you so much. Everybody else, we see each other soon enough. Bye bye.